Hi, welcome to Firepower and Firepower Threat Defense. In this section, I'm going to cover account management or user account management, creating users so people don't log in as admin. We're going to do both local accounts and external accounts. Let's go ahead and take a look at, here I am in my FMC. And if you've been following along, we've done quite a bit of stuff through our policies. What I want to do is come back over here to configure the FMC. And that's under the system here, right-hand side. So system configuration we've done, and right now I want to do users. Not a really hard section, guys, but important. Very, very important section. So notice we have admin. You can't delete it. You can't delete the admin. What you really want to do is take a password, get a really long password, and then just put in a safe or whatever, the password, and then make everyone else use their own user. No one logs in as admin. Now, users are created via user roles. So we could use an existing role, or, I hardly use any of these. I use security analyst read only and admin, right? So, but there's some other ones you can look through here and see what they are. So the way that you would do that is I'd come under here and I go to, like, for example, this is the lowest level, right? Security analyst read only. They've done a good job. No, notice this. I can copy this. So I'm going to say, okay, let's take a look at this, or I can just create a user role from scratch. You might as well start with the low one possibly, right? And I'm going to say, help desk, right? Something like that. Created by Todd for help desk. Okay. Now, although it doesn't look like there's much here, there is a lot. There is a lot of detail in here. Right now, we're just going to be able to look at this overview and analysis. Right? We can't change anything. We could also restrict search. We could go up and create a search string and save it, and then it would show up here, and they would be able to do that search. We'd probably do that so they wouldn't have to figure out how to search. Now, one of the things, like if I came in here, notice the create modify dashboards isn't on. But in this case here, maybe I want them to look at policy, not change anything. So I click on this, say, okay. I don't want to leave it like that because now they have all read-write access on them, right? But I come under here, under the ACP, and notice here, they say administrator and root rules. They don't call them that anymore, but nonetheless, doesn't matter. I'm not going to allow them to modify it, but they can look at it. Maybe they're going to go through my class or whatever, and you're going to want them to go look at that and see, and then just tell you maybe what they found, something like that. But we don't want them to modify anything. But nothing wrong with looking at it if they can't modify it. Maybe it's going to help them learn. So I'm going to come in here and take all this off. And now we're going to allow them to do that. So this can be very granular, right? So we got network discovery. So maybe we don't let them modify that, and certainly not these. Maybe I don't even, I let them look at network discovery. That's going to be users, hosts, applications, and so now they can't modify anything. No application detectors for them, no correlation, and no actions. Okay, perfect. So that's a good help desk role I created. So it's going to be down here at the bottom. There it is right there. So again, you could look through some of the other ones and use them as a base and then change it as needed, but this is good. It's very low. They can't change anything. Now I can go just create a user and have them be part of that role. Pretty simple. I don't even need to show you that. But what I want to do is show you that I can configure permission escalation for a role. So I'm going to click on that and say the administration target is, and maybe I create, an escalation role, right? Something like that. But in this case here, just keep it easy. I'm going to say we're going to let them escalate to administrator. Okay, I'll say okay. And now that that's on, I can come down here to the role and edit this. And now down here, there's this new system permissions. And now we could tell them to log in as a certain user with a certain password, use their own, or so on. I don't know a lot of people that use this, but I want to show you that anyway. So let's go ahead and take a look. So I'll go ahead and create a user, and then we'll escalate the permissions because we can. And then really what we want to do is hit the external authentication. I can't use external authentication in a lot of larger companies. It's really hard to get either the TAC radius sometimes I'll be using ACS, ICE, or AD, right? So it's hard to get that in a larger company. So in this case here, he's not going to be external. Password, just very simple. Change that. Notice we can do, have it expire, just regular password stuff. Force password, reset a login, exempt from browser sessions, timeout. Certainly will, because they're part of help desk, right? If I turned on administrator, that would go away, right? And it obviously gets everything but security analyst. And you can actually choose more than one role. I typically don't do that, but you can. Just regular, basic, local stuff. I'm going to go save this, and then we'll log in as Todd. I'll show you some user preferences and then see that I can't change anything in the policies. There it is right there. It's automatically enabled. So I'm going to come up under admin and say log out. Now I'll log in, and we'll do a couple things. So here I am right here. Took me to the default page. That default page is based under, pay attention here, this is a per user, what I'm about to show you. Notice the escalate permissions there. User preferences. Now this is on a per user. You cannot set this globally. So first off, Todd can come in here and change his password, but change the home page, change the time zone. That's important. So in this case here, don't want dance. I'm a Context Explorer guy. So I'm going to save that. And we're changing the FMC. It's not like there's any deployment or anything. Under Event View, though, this is kind of interesting. Again, per user. Now, confirm all actions. Now, we could do a resolve all. I'll show you this. You may or may not want to keep this on. It's going to resolve the IP addresses via DNS. That might be okay. Expand packet view, I don't turn that on, but you could do something like this. I don't want my page to be 25 if I'm looking at events. I want it to be 100. We also can have a refresh interval, so I don't have to do it and say every 5 minutes. That's kind of nice, huh? Now, one other thing I want to show you, I don't change really the rest of these. You can. You can go through and look at these. Now, if I'm downloading a file, when I'm doing network analysis and I'm looking at malware, looking for malware, it's going to say, because I doubt the file came and is stored on the FMC, because I said store malware, we can download it. And it says, okay, it's going to download a zip file, and it's going to have a password on it. The default password is infected. So you can change your password, right? And so you know what it is, because it's going to be a zip file. So interesting, right? So I come down here and save this. I basically just changed my home page, and I like the events right here, but we're going to look at this resolution, though. Make sure you want to keep that on. The other thing I could do is change the time zone, because now you could do this on a per user for events, but you want to be careful about this. If you're setting your FMCs and you have multiple physical FMCs, they both have to be set to Greenwich Mean Time, regardless of where you're at, or you're going to get errors. So that's something I found out with, if you have like two 2500s or 4500s, here I'm in Colorado, so I'll set that to Denver. That way I have a customer that has, they're in the East Coast that I look at, and I'm here, it's going to show me when they happened in Colorado time, right, instead of Eastern time. Now, dashboard settings, we don't really change any of that, but very cool stuff there. So I'm going to say, Todd, this is fine, but look at this. I don't have, where's all my stuff? System, nothing, man. No system, health, monitor, events, whatever. So, but under policies here, let's take a look here. Well, there's all my policies. I mean, I must be good. And I'm going to look at network analysis too. Let me go here and open a new tab while we're talking about the policy here. So notice, no pencil. I can only view the policy, right? No pencil. So in this case here, let's see if it's going to open that up for me. Notice that we can't make any changes. All we can do is view, and we can't trash them, edit them, nothing, right? Now, under the events, right here, let's take a look over here. We're going to see that my IP addresses that I can resolve have been resolved, right? It's going through some routers in Dallas there, right? Different servers, cloudfront.net. So maybe you want this, maybe you don't. It definitely takes up more room. So again, it's on a per user basis that you decide to do that. All right, let's come back over to my users. First thing I want to do, though, I can't get to users from here. But hold on, I set time to escalate. Instead of logging out and logging back in, I'll just escalate them. This is going to be a faster way to do this. I think that was right. And now look, now I've got everything, right? So I could have logged out and logged back in. It just would have taken a little bit longer. Not that this is fast, but it's going to end up logging out these guys too. System, users. Okay, under users, there's Todd. What I want to do now, though, is create external authentication. Now, when I do this, it's also going to change. I'm going to try to remember this. I'm going to go into devices, platform settings, because if I want to SSH into my FTD boxes, I can have it use external authentication now, once I create it here. Okay, so I'm going to go to external authentication. And now the first thing you want to do is set a default user role. Okay, again, set a default user role. If you don't do this, it'll never work, right? And obviously, I could just make it help desk or just make it a low security only something, right? That's the default user role, right? And once we configure this, should be able to do shell authentication. So I'm going to save this. And then now I can do this. Now remember, I'm only applying this to the FMC. So there's no long deployment or anything like that. Now I can do LDAP or radius. Or this, click this for TACAX or radius. In this case here, I want to use AD, so I'm going to use that. The name is, pod 20 AD, whatever. And I'm going to use either Oracle Open LDAP or Active Directory. That's fine. And then I'm going to type in the IP address of my AD server and what port it's listening on. Now, I don't need a backup here, but all this does, I want to go fetch distinguished names here. Distinguished names. If this is listed on 389, I should get those. There. So the first thing, you're going to just choose this top, whoops. You're just going to choose this top guy. Sorry about that. There we go. And notice that's our distinguished names for my my domain. The username I could do it this way. There's a couple different ways I could do canonical name, but I could just do this now as well. Canonical name takes longer, right? CN equals, and then the folder that the users are in. The advanced tab under here is if I have some sort of encryption for my AD. Now you definitely need this attribute mapping. And I want to say fetch attributes. Now if this is right up here and this is right, then I'll be able to get my attributes that I need. And typically if you use an AD, it doesn't have to be. In my book I talk about the different various options here. But in this case here, PQR, come on, SAM, I usually use the SAM account name, right? Very common. You might use something different. Now the shell access attribute for FTD, I actually have to have that. However, notice it says mandatory for FTD. I'm going to say same as space filter, same as this. So even though that says you have to have this, by turning that on, it overrides that. Now, the other thing what you're going to want to do is put in your canonical names for your admin group and put them up there. Because if they're part of a group, you don't want to go create the users. You don't want to add them in as admin. You want them to automatically be administrators. So I would just say CN, whatever, and put in that long group string. And then anyone that's in that group become administrator. Very cool stuff. I could actually set a default role as well if they won't get one, but I don't necessarily need that. Attributes I could put in. The shell, I got the same. Now I could test this. So let's do this. Pod 20. It's a user on my AD. And I'll say test. And come up to the top because that's where it's going to give me the output. Boom. Lots of stuff. Okay. And then I'm going to save. And if it failed, I could click this and it'll give me like 10 pages of reasons why. So I'm going to hit save and I'm good now. So now I can go out and log in as my external user. Notice I'm not creating them. I just said, I got to turn this on. Got to do a couple more things. Make sure you have your default user role. Enable this and then save and apply. Apply changes. Okay, and then I'm going to say log out. And then log in as my external user. And Didn't create them or anything, did I? Just going and doing external authentication. Notice it logs me out all that, right? I lost my platform. It's okay. Okay, so here I am as pod 20, and I can go into my user preferences. And he's going to have, he's not going to be able to, he wasn't admin, he's not in that group that gave me admin, right? So I'm going to escalate permissions for him so we can just get into users without logging out, log back in. Okay, give it 1 second. We'll log back in, go to, and we'll see now I'm admin. And back to users, and I'll see that I was created. And there's pod 20 help desk external automatically created. Now it's better to put them in that group that I was showing you and have it done that way, but I could do it by hand coming in here. And now I would just say, no, you're administrator now. Okay, one more thing I want to show you. Not a really hard section. It's kind of nice after going through all that hard stuff, doing something that's extremely important, but not that hard. So let me come back over here to devices, platform settings. And under here, here's the one that I'm using. And I want to, if SSH out to my FTD boxes, I want to use external authentication. And now that I have it configured on the FMC, try to hit here. There we go. All I have to do is right here. That's it. So it's configured in the system users, and then you just come here and enable it. And then I'd have to deploy this policy out, right? So this would have to be redeployed. So great stuff with users, and that's how you do your external authentication for your FTDs as well.